Okay, so the first thing we're going to do, since we're working from an image and not a still life, and you would do this even if you were working from a still life, is that you want to analyze what's in front of you and really look at what's in front of you. Um, so when I look at this image, one of the first things that I notice is how the artist used this vibrant, warm color to be a focal point in the composition. And part of the reason why that is because of the saturation level of the color as well as the warmth of the color. Yellows, oranges, reds, they're warm and they tend to advance visually. And cooler tones do the opposite typically, depending on the saturation. Like you could have a very vibrant blue that can advance also, but generally speaking. And one of the things that the artist also did was they laid in a very neutral background. When I say neutral, it's towards the middle of the grayscale, and in terms of color composition, it's in the middle. And so what he or she did, I think it's a female, is to make this also stand out. They used a light neutral basically as an offset, so that helps the edges of the petals to really come forward and stand out and be pronounced. And then as you go towards the middle of the composition, becomes darker in value, still neutral. And then even going further down in the composition, becomes slightly darker, especially down where there's a cast shadow from the vase. So a couple of things. When you start to approach this, you'll be laying in the background first, and then you'll do essentially like a neutral underpainting of the elements that are in the foreground. So in this composition, the flowers and the vase are in the foreground, and the tabletop and the background are negative space in the background, or they recede. They're not the focal point. It's obvious that this is the focal point. And the first your eye goes to this, and then it probably travels down here, but everything around it is basically framing the subject matter. Then the other thing that I noticed is that he or she used reflective light on the vase, so you can see that the coloration of the petal shows up in the reflection of the vase here and here. And also she brought in coloration, these neutral colors from the background, also into the vase. So it's not exclusively in the background, it's also in the main subject matter. And one of the things that does is it gives a sense of cohesion with the whole composition. Like if you didn't have any of the coloration in another part of the composition elsewhere, it would look more disjointed. And then very simply, they used high key reflections or highlights in order to give the appearance of a shiny object. Usually you'll see that kind of thing on a surface like this it's probably glazed pottery. Then there's a hint of a green leaf here and up here. So let's see. The other thing is it is in perspective. I'll go into this more when I start to lay in the composition. But visually, the horizon line, I guess you could say, is what is the tabletop, between the edge of the tabletop and the background. And so everything below that horizon line, imagine that you're looking down, more down on it. So you can see ever so slightly the base of the vase is not flat like this is. It's slightly curved this way. And then everything that's above that line is as if you're looking up on it. And so it has a slight curvature. Not, it's hard to tell, but it should have a little bit, probably a little bit more slight curvature in the opposite direction there. So I think that's all I need to say about this. And then I'll get into more of the details of laying down the color, the underpainting. Basically, an underpainting is like the preliminary stage of the painting. And you'll do this in stages, probably at least a couple. Okay, hope that makes sense. Thanks.